go.
Actually, my fighting career is getting in the way of all this marijuana smoking. Welcome back, ladies and gents, to the 10-8 round podcast on a sunny in the 90s day. I am joining you from filthy Philadelphia, as always. John Boy with the facial reactions. You better keep those facial reactions ready, John Boy, because right after this intro, we're going to have to get down to a little business to discuss. So before things get a little cross, how are you?
Doing well. How about yourself?
I'm hanging in there. As you know, we discussed pre-pod. I'm coming off of a 4-day work trip and a busy day at work to back it up today. So I'm flying a little blind, a little by the seat of my pants, but we're professionals, we're pros, we get it done. And that's it.
I heard a little excuses layered in there, but that's all right.
Well, you know, here's the thing, John Boy, and I don't mind telling you, I've been in a little bit of turmoil this week. I've been just a little bit, I don't want to say heartbroken, but what some in the business would call crestfallen. And I'm going to tell you why. I don't spend a ton of time on Twitter. It's not my modus operandi. I really get on there just to partake in MMA Twitter, and I kind of get off. I like the Instagram, as you know. That's where I think I shine. But I open up Twitter earlier this week.
Where is this going?
And I see my co-host, my road dog, my boy out here referring to another MMA betting podcast and thanking them for the picks. And, look, there are just certain lines you don't cross, right? Israel, Palestine, Long Island lacrosse, Maryland lacrosse, other MMA podcasts. I mean, there are just certain demilitarized zones that I just didn't think we crossed. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to explain yourself to the legions of fans of the 10-8 round.
That was pretty classy. Head right into that. All right, let's see where this is going today. No, I had a little bit of success in the betting realm, and there is another podcast that I listen to. Yes, I don't just shut off every other, vocal person in the field. If you see where I'm going with this, but I gave a little shout out. The teamwork makes the dream work. You can read the thread; it's up there. It's history, and you can see whose position you stand with. Go in the comments. Go to that thread. You got to go to that thread on Twitter and see who you side with.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I thank my lucky stars for a few things. I thank it for the love of a good woman. I thank it for North Star MMA, where I can get some of my aggression out. I thank the Lord Odin above for Killcliff CBD, goat flavor, for keeping me calm here, for keeping my emotions in check. Because I was downright crestfallen when I saw it. And I'll tell you,
it's nothing wrong to why burn bridges? Form relationships. That's what it's all about. You know what I mean? It's about the community, Zach. And for, you are somebody that I saw that would envision that as being a priority for you, but clearly that is not the case.
Well, here's the thing. One, let me tell you something about me. I burn bridges. That's what I do. I'd burn more if they'd let me. I really would. I'd burn every bridge I see. The only bridge I care about is the East Falls Bridge, about a half a mile down the road here in filthy Philadelphia. But while you're shouting out other MMA podcasts, I want to shout out fans of the podcast. That's Stephanie F and Jason B and their handsome little devil Cam that they've got running around, their little Rugrat future MMA champion. Jason and Steph, early on fans of the pod, hosted legal department and I this weekend for some food, some fun, some festivities, introduced us to some of their people, reaffirmed that they are huge fans of the pod, and gave us a great environment to watch what had to be one of the strangest fight cards I've ever seen. So I'd like to shout them out. Any other podcasts you wanted to shout out, or fans of the podcast?
That's hilarious, Zach. Wow. Shout out to Remy, big fan of the pod, man. He really gave us some encouragement this week, some love. We really felt it. Dude, we love you. We got to get some merch. We got to get some merch up in here.
Hang on. We got a what? We got a what?
We got to get some merch.
A what? Boom.
Oh,
Do you want one?
8-round sticker.
Here's the thing. Let me tell you the truth. You comment on there. You reach out to us on the socials. You send us a DM with your address. I will get you a sticker.
There it is.
I will make sure of it. And I got it. And John, we didn't have time to discuss this on air, but it's in the works. We are thinking about collabing with a certain brand for a t-shirt. We've talked about it before. I don't want to oversell the hype.
Mm-hmm.
That conversation might be happening tonight. So there might be 10-8Ts coming in hot. That might happen. It might. I don't know. I can't guarantee it. But I will second your shout out to Remy. Remy is the boy. He is the man. He has shouted out the pod every chance he gets. Has been a huge supporter of the pod. Love that dude. New Jersey native. So he's good people. In spite of the fact that the state sucks, the people who come from there seem okay sometimes. Wow. I said what I said. And one more thing that I think we got to touch on before we start recapping last week's card. There was a little bit of debate between let me pull it up here in the comments. I don't want to get anything incorrect. You and I had a little on-air debate about whether you over or underestimated something. And let's see where the comments leave us.
Here we go.
Listen, it is what it is. It looks like it was 3-0 in favor of me. Yeah, it looks like it was 3-0 in favor of me. It looks like you did overestimate, not underestimate it.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, that's okay, John Boy. That's all right. Before we break up like the Beatles, let's get to recapping a fight card.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Let's do that. Let's get into it. You watched the fights?
I did. I thought it was a great fight card. Best fight card I've seen in a very long time, in my opinion.
Now, I want to ask a hard-hitting question early off. Was that because it was such a good fight card, or was it because you won money on the fight card?
I mean, a little bit of both, but
okay.
I can honestly say that I was thoroughly entertained from start to finish. I thought the entire card was pretty fireworks. I think what was like one of the only fights that went to decision was like the Valentina fight, right?
Yeah. Well,
that was the only fight that had a little bit of controversy and, went to a decision. The rest of the fights were pretty premium finishes. The main event was fantastic. Couldn't have ended it better. The co-main or the fight leading up to the co-main was phenomenal. Sad, absolute travesty, but pretty exciting nonetheless.
Yeah, well, I guess we start at the main event, work our way backwards, touch on what needs to be touched on. Yuri Prochazka is now the UFC light heavyweight champion after submitting Glover Teixeira in the 5th.
Yeah, no, I don't even. I thought Yuri was going to be the champion, but not like that. I mean, my pick of the week was under 1.5 rounds. That it wasn't even close. I was really surprised how that played out. Not in a million years that I think a fight that would have went 5 rounds would have went to Yuri. But that's the thing. It wasn't. If it went to 5 rounds, Glover would have won a decision. We know that now. Yuri puts in an absurd choke with 30 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, 25, I think.
Yeah, new Czech Republic. Czech Republic has a new champion.
First
champion ever. Yuri Prochazka. They're already lining up his next opponent.
Jan Blachowicz.
Yep, Jan Blachowicz. What'd you think of the fight? What'd you take from it?
Well, this had to be one of the strangest MMA fights I've ever seen. I just first and foremost, and not to take away anything at all from the champ who handled business, but I absolutely despise his fighting style. It's just so awkward. It's so strange to watch. It has almost no defense involved in it at all. I mean, he hits you at will, but he also, I saw this on Twitter and I don't remember from whom, so I can't give them proper credit. But they said, if you told me that Yuri Prohaska was going to forward roll himself into giving up back control, I would have believed you 100%. And that's exactly what he did in the first round.
Yeah.
But was winning the fight, I thought, before that. And that's how I felt watching almost every round. It seemed like Yuri came out, had the strong hands, was piecing up Glover, and then would somehow get himself caught and nearly submitted every round. Bizarre. Until, what was it? The fourth round, Glover was piecing Yuri up on the feet, looked like he was going to get a finish.
And then shot, right?
Shot a takedown.
Got a takedown. Yeah.
Bizarre. It was a bizarre fight. It was fun to watch. Absolutely. People are hailing it as the greatest light heavyweight fight in UFC history. I have to firmly but respectfully disagree.
John Jones, Alexander Gustafsson.
That's it. That's Lusty Gusty, John Bones Jones.
Pull it up if you haven't. That's the best light heavyweight fight of all time
by a large margin. It's I don't even think we're close. This was a fun fight, but it was really weird. And I think for me, the big takeaway is it raises more questions than it gives answers.
See, I don't know if I agree with that, but I understand where you're coming from. But
well, let me hear it.
Well, like I know what you're saying. It was sloppy. It didn't look good. I know Anthony Smith said after the fight, like both guys showed a lot of holes in their games. But it was like coming from Anthony Smith, like he's going to exploit those holes. Like, yeah, okay. I thought Yuri would have handled the job differently, but the fact that he can go 5 rounds with a guy like Glover, he has the cardio, he has the gas tank, he has the defensive grappling wherewithal. The IQ clearly needs a little bit of, there were a little bit of wasted movement. I guess that's just kind of who he is. But he answered a lot of check marks, in my opinion. I don't see who beats him. Do you think Jan beats him? I don't see any light heavyweight currently in the picture that beats Yuri right at this moment in time. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Here's the thing. You're not gonna be wrong until you're wrong.
But does somebody come to mind? Like, is there somebody that pops into your head that's like, okay, there is one guy for me. There is one guy, one person that pops
up. Let me hear it.
Why, you don't got anybody?
Here's the thing. If you gave me a crystal ball and I looked into it and I saw Jan getting starched by Yuri, I would believe you.
100%, that's going to happen.
If you gave me that same crystal ball and said that Yuri did some weird Dragon Ball Z stance and Jan was able to chop down that front leg and then catch him with a knee, I'd believe you. No. I would. I'd believe you. It's an awkward fighting stance. Chins don't last forever.
I don't know how Yuri got out of some of those subs, by the way. That was insane.
And that's the other thing. When he fights against a grappler who's not a 40-year-old man, is he going to get out of those?
Stop. Glover's a better grappler than Blachowicz.
He's a better grappler than Blachowicz, sure.
Yeah. And who's a better grappler than Glover in the light heavyweight division?
There's always somebody coming up.
There's only one guy that rings a bell that I think would be like an even money Vegas odds, really flip a coin fight.
Give it to me.
Magomed Ankalaev. That's it. That's the only other guy in the picture that is relevant. It's the only guy in the picture that poses a problem.
Where's Ankalaev ranked right now?
He's probably next.
Is he next? I'm sure he's top 10. Is he top 5?
It's probably Jan Blachowicz, right? Because it was Blachowicz, Rakic, whoever won that fight.
Mm-hmm.
We got Jan now. And then we got did they, I don't want to say, they might have scheduled Magomed Ankalaev against Anthony Smith. Did they? Let me see. Let me check that out really quick.
I did hear a little bit of Lionheart slander from you earlier, and
what's the slander?
I didn't totally love it.
They did book that fight.
Did they?
Yeah. So the winner,
that's going to be a rough night for the Lionheart.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know if you know this, legal department's favorite fighter is Anthony Smith.
Yeah, no, I actually was informed. I'm not going to say I was surprised. I was a bit taken back.
Okay.
Is there a reason for that? Do we get any background on that?
I think it's who Lionheart is outside the cage that really speaks to our legal department. Our legal department likes a well-rounded fighter, not just inside the cage, but outside of it. And I don't think there's really any doubt that Anthony Smith is a really good guy outside the cage. He does, I think, a lot of good work. He seems to be a really good person, at his core. So I think that's what speaks to legal. And he's a good fighter. You're not going to say he's a bad fighter.
He fights.
I'm hard pressed. I could name on one hand the amount of people who are on the active UFC roster that you would call bad fighters. I mean, bad compared to Yuri, sure. Bad compared to Glover or Rakic, maybe.
No,
but a bad fighter. I mean, he's a UFC fighter,
Yeah. Basically, what we're saying right now, though, is Yuri is probably going to fight Jan next. That's what's next in line. The winner of Anthony Smith, Magomed Ankalaev, aka Magomed Ankalaev, fights Yuri. And I think that's where we see, the next closest fight, possibly a changing of the guard type thing, possibly maybe a rivalry between Yuri and Magomed if it's a good fight.
Yeah.
Something brewing between them, because I don't see really anybody else in the landscape that's going to kind of to hang around there. I guess we got to see. We'll wait and see. But
yeah,
picture there. That's what that kind of summed up.
Yeah, let me ask you this just while we're on the subject, then we'll move on to our next fight. Do you think any of these guys beats John Dwight Jones?
No.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah, I don't either. I know the light heavyweight division is cursed because it doesn't matter how interesting it gets. It's the question is still, could any of these guys beat Jones? And I think the answer is a resounding no.
Yeah, dude. I was looking at his resume the other day in comparison to like some other guys like Habib. And it's pretty crazy what he's doing actively currently. So
not only did John beat just everybody, but he would beat you at what you were best at. He took down Daniel Cormier. He beat Glover Teixeira. I mean, he would beat you at what you were best at.
And it was like the division that was like the best at the time,
and nobody could unseat him.
It was kind of like the lightweight division is now. Like there was
just all monsters.
Shogun, Lyoto Machida, Rashad Evans, Rampage Jackson, Chuck Liddell. Like there were just so many relevant guys. So what he did in that, he kind of just
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't think any of these guys are better than Jones, and I think it's going to be a little while until we see somebody at light heavyweight who is a better fighter than John Dwight Jones. Valentina versus Santos.
Oh boy.
How'd you score that one?
I gave it to Valentina.
What to what? Give me your actual score.
I gave it 48-47. I'd have to go back on the exact round that I gave Valentina, but it was one of the earlier rounds. It was 1 or 2 when she kind of won the majority of the fight on the feet, and then she was taken down, and it was kind of like a stalemate where there was really no damage by Talia Santos. It was just a controlling position, for 2.5, maybe half of the fight. I scored at 48-47. How did you see it?
I scored at 48-47 too, just not in the same direction as you.
Okay.
But I will say this, and for our listeners at home who didn't watch the card, Valentina the Bullet Shevchenko did retain her strap. She is still the champion. Have you ever seen her exposed like that, though?
I mean, in spots, right? Like the Jennifer Maia fight, she got like taken down, right? And she was on her back for like a couple minutes. In spots, I don't know. I wasn't thoroughly impressed with Santos. I don't know. I don't know how I felt. It was very, I don't know, anticlimactic in comparison to what else we saw, the rest of that night. But but I think the rifle person is still the champion.
So I scored at 48-47 Santos, but I was pretty firm in my belief that it was 48-47 Santos. I thought she controlled Valentina in a way that made her the better fighter that night. I really did. And we've had this debate a million times. We don't need to rehash it now. I know that, we're always going to feel differently about things like that. But I thought watching this, I felt pretty convinced that Talia Santos was the better fighter that night. She, of course, is going to have to undergo surgery for her busted orbital, which, of course, came at the hands of Valentina's head.
Yeah, but Santos was ducking in. It wasn't. That wasn't. You know what I mean? She kind of forced.
I'm not gonna say that it was intentional. I'm not gonna say that it was anything untoward that Valentina Shevchenko did. But what I am gonna say is Valentina's best moments of the fight came after she headbutted Talia Santos and broke her orbital. That's what I am gonna say. I am gonna say she didn't start piecing up Santos until Santos was fighting, with one eye. You know what they say about a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest.
Yeah, no, I mean, the thing with MMA scoring that's tough is, right, if you win the first 3 minutes of the round, but you get taken down for the last minute of the round, they score you the last minute of the round is in more effect than the first 4 minutes of the round. That's just how MMA scoring works. I think Bullet did more damage.
Her head sure did.
I felt like when she was on back, she did more damage than Santos did on top throughout the entire fight. Tell me if I'm wrong.
I'm not moved by those little chicken wing punches. When somebody has you in a body triangle on the ground, you are unable to return to your feet. And the only thing you can do is a little chicken wing behind you. I'm not moved. I'm not looking at you thinking, oh, you're winning this fight.
This is all I'll say. This is the only thing I'll say. Bullet landed more strikes on the feet, correct? That's obvious.
Yes.
Do you think she landed more strikes while on bottom as well?
I would say numerically, yeah, probably. Like just purely on the numbers, yes. Okay. And that's because she was getting off 4, 5, 6, 7 of those, throwing them behind her head. But she was only throwing those because she could not escape from Talia Santos's body lock on the ground. She had her in a body triangle and she could not get up from it. And that to me it speaks volumes, Now, if Valentina Shevchenko was Nico Price and had some weird MMA magic fairy dust that was going to make you knock somebody out from the bottom, maybe I'm more moved, but I'm not. I will say this, and I didn't look at which judge it was, but whichever judge scored at 49-46, Shevchenko should be fired, probably tarred and feathered, possibly flogged in the town square.
Yeah, I don't agree with that score.
That to me is an indicator that you have been engaging in a recreational substance before doing your job that would get you fired anywhere else. I'm not going to say they were smoking crack, but I'm going to say that their judgment was of somebody who uses hard narcotics.
I honestly, I don't think that this is even in the realm of that when we start really getting into some of the decisions that have happened.
Death by 1,000 paper cuts, John.
I think the rightful winner got the belt. We can move on to a little bit clearer cut, easier, thing to understand here in this third fight. This was hard to watch.
This was tough, and you and I,
as
our friendship has deepened, and as we've gotten to know each other as men a little bit better, we've gotten a little bit more comfortable sharing our emotions with each other, and I think Saturday night was a clear moment where we were able to sort of open up to each other as men and share some sadness, and that sadness is, of course, JJ Champy, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, first getting knocked out by Weili Zhang off of a spinning back fist, and then, of course, retiring in the cage and leaving the gloves there and leaving. Just absolutely depressing. What can I say?
Yep, strawweight queen retires. Probably best to ever do it. Women's strawweight fighter of all time at this point in time. She was like the first real UFC women's MMA fighter that I feel like put it on the map. She was before Ronda Rousey. She didn't have the same pull that Ronda Rousey did. but the true MMA people, like obviously Rousey was more mainstream, but Joanna was a killer, OG of the game. Super sad to see, but glad that she's going out kind of on her own terms, and that's all you can ask for when you have a career like that. So she's a legend, Hall of Famer without a doubt,
without question. Yeah,
first European woman champion of all time.
Yep.
I mean, come on, you're talking one of the first OGs of all time. So
yeah, a true OG. I mean, I think she belongs in the conversation with Gina Carano as being one of the real pioneers of women's MMA. And obviously Ronda. That's like the third time I've burped into the microphone tonight. I do not want to listen back to this later. Obviously, Ronda put the UFC women's, game on the map, and can't really take that from Ronda. But a lot of people forget that there were women who were putting on the gloves and doing the damn thing long before Ronda Rousey, and will be long after. And Joanna was one of them. Do you think she stays retired?
She did say she wanted to raise a family and have a baby. And that when you start hearing that type of stuff, it's a little bit like, she's probably ready if she's saying that. I don't know. It's a good question. Because before the fight, she was talking about, how she's back, she's ready to reclaim the throne. I get it. She's a promoter. She's a pro. She's one of the best in the game at what she does. Fuck. I don't know. I think she might be done.
It's a strange thing that we do in MMA, and we as fans do it, and I think promoters kind of do it, and I think fighters kind of do it, where as soon as somebody retires, it immediately becomes a challenge to see if we can get them back. Khabib Nurmagomedov retired, and I feel like every week since then I have heard some alternate universe where this will be the reason that Khabib comes back and fights again. Is it going to be to refight for the belt? Is it going to be so he can finally fight Tony Ferguson? Is he going to host Tough and then fight Tony Ferguson? It seems like we do this a lot. And it seems like a lot of MMA fighters do not stay retired for that reason. A lot of them end up coming back. So I kind of hope Joanna stays retired. She sounded done. She sounded like she was over this shit in the post-fight interview. There's no other mountain for her to climb. At this point, if she comes back, it's going to be to reclimb the same mountain. But she's done it all, undisputed, done it all. So I hope she stays retired. So you've already mentioned that your pick of the week did not hit on Saturday night. Now you're the betting guy. You kind of keep tabs on this. Did mine hit?
It did.
It did.
I don't know if you did notice though, that he was part of a winning lineup that was, we alluded to it earlier, that was posted earlier, but
is that your DK lineup?
He may or may have not been a massive reason that something was taken down in the big DK lineup.
Well, listen, it sounds like you, like so many other people in this world, have listened to the sound advice of dear old Uncle Zach. And it sounds like, as usual, my advice has paid off.
That guy's a monster. I will say that much.
Yeah, he's a tough dude. He's going to be somebody to watch, I think.
Yeah, that's a guy that you want to definitely watch, because Amiv was a guy to watch. Amiv was the guy that worked out. A lot of people had high hopes for him. He had a pretty, sound, legit record. So do that to him like that, in that fashion. That was another one though, right? Where a choke was like that close to getting.
Yeah.
That was another one where it was like, holy shit, how did he get out of that? But no, nonetheless, fought through adversity, stellar knockout. Jack
Della Maddalena.
He's legit. Be interested to see who he fights next for sure.
Well, that's a recap, John Boy, if I've ever heard one. Do we have anything else to touch on this week?
About
the recap. Obviously, we have a fight card to talk about next.
Trying to think if there's anything else on the recap. Yeah, I think we did enough. Well, let's not get caught up in the past.
That's it. And why get caught up in the past when there's fights on Saturday?
Yeah. Sleeper card. Sleeper card.
Absolute sleeper card. That is going to be a tough card to beat. Yeah, I think that's an exciting one. This is, some cards are a refractory period, and that's how we talk about them. We talk about needing to kind of shake it off, have a little post-coital smoke, reflect on your life. This is not one of those. UFC said, roll over, baby. I'm ready for round 2.
Damn.
And that's what we got here.
Let's get to it.
That's what we got here. Now, I got to be honest with you. I'm not going to be watching this card. Not going to be watching it.
And there better be a good explanation here.
There is a good explanation here. I am going to be down on my way to Hockenson, Delaware. I don't know if I pronounced that right. And if you live in Delaware and I didn't, let me know. Hockenson, Delaware.
We definitely have a viewer in Delaware for sure.
We got to have at least one.
Yeah.
Young gentleman named Trey Scales, aka Super Trey, aka Beast Boy, a young Muay Thai fighter out of North Star MMA, is throwing them gloves on tomorrow night, and he's going to be fighting down in Delaware. And I am extremely excited to be there and support with the rest of the North Star crew. So I'll be watching Super Trey fight. Hopefully get another win. He's coming off of a win. And a super, super tough young man. Just a ton of promise, I think, in whatever he decides to do with fighting. He's lightning fast. And I think the 10-8 will, on our socials, post some clips from the fight tomorrow night. I'll be there. Our legal department will be there. And listen, I like to support the local up and comers. I like to support people who are putting it on the line for love of the game. Nobody embodies that better than Super Trey. So that's who I will be watching. So you're going to have to keep me informed on this fight card, John Boy.
I'll keep you up to date. I'm going to be locked in for this one. This one's got violence written all over it. There's some sleeper card. This is a sleeper, man. I'm telling you, there are a lot of good fights on here. The main event is nasty. That's a 5-rounder.
That's worth the price of admission right there. Is the main event.
Holy violence. There's some Philly. There's some Philly. We got some local Philly on the card.
2 Philly fighters on the card.
We got some legends.
Yeah.
We'll get into it. Let's get into it right now.
Let's start with the main event. Calvin Kattar versus Josh Emmett. I mean, that's Josh Emmett said it himself that he's promising violence at featherweight. He's promising some violence. 17-2. Calvin Kattar 23-5. Should I pick a favorite? Should I pick who I think the favorite is?
Yeah, I mean that's what's next.
That is our tradition, right?
That's what's
next. I think Calvin's going to be the favorite here.
Do you?
I do.
You'd be correct.
All right.
He's minus 255.
Okay.
Josh Emmett plus 205, 2-1 underdog. These are 2 of my favorite fighters at featherweight to watch fight.
Yeah.
Calvin Kattar, boxer, super high volume, super tight, super, super durable chin, good pace, high output, super technical. Josh Emmett is more of like a power puncher. He's older. He's like 37, 38 years old. He fights at a Team Alpha Male with Uriah Faber in California. He's, a little bit more plodding, but he packs a hell of a punch, lower output, but still good pace, still good output. I like Calvin Kattar here.
I do too. I do too. Yeah, I do too. But this is one of those ones, man. If you told me that Josh Emmett won it, I wouldn't be surprised. They both have wins over Dan Ige. But Jeremy Stevens has actually beaten Josh Emmett, whereas Calvin Kattar knocked out Jeremy Stevens with elbows.
And to knock out Jeremy Stevens is one thing.
Yeah, that's something to speak about. Also, Calvin Kattar responsible for kind of derailing some outside the UFC hype in Giga Chikadze, who was heavily touted and is a striker. He's a striker through and through.
He was a big favorite in that fight.
Favorite.
Was on Kattar in that fight as well. Just for the record. But
yeah, I mean, you look at you look. Nobody's doubting your credentials, John Boy. I mean, you are. I think a lot of people would say probably the brains of the podcast. I have no reason to doubt that.
If that's true, we're in trouble. But
well, listen, we were in trouble the day we said, "Hey, let's start a podcast." But here we are. We're still going. True. They haven't derailed us yet.
True.
Yeah, I mean, even Calvin Kattar's losses are impressive. You know, I mean, he lost to Max Holloway. You know, at this point, there are several people who can say they haven't lost to Max Holloway.
That was kind of the fight for me that kind of put Max Holloway and Volkanovski in a different level than a lot of these featherweights, because that was kind of the fight where I was like, okay, Calvin Kattar's kind of like the new up and coming guy. If you watch him fight, he is exciting. He is really crisp. He is really, really good. I love Calvin Kattar. Like, amazing, great fighter. And what Max Holloway did to that poor man.
Yeah.
One of the nastiest beatings I've ever seen somebody sustain.
But he took it.
He took it though. He didn't go out. That was more an accumulation of volume than you're going to deal with Emmett. Emmett is going to be that one shot where he just fucking moonshots you. Like Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson had him beat by 2 rounds. 3rd round, fucking bomb from hell. Ricardo Lamas, bomb from hell. I don't know if Kattar can be knocked out. I don't think he's ever been knocked out in his career. Correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Let's see. You know what? I
don't think he has been. I think he's going to be the more technical guy. He's the younger fighter. I think he can knock Emmett out. I think he does knock Emmett out over the course of 5 rounds. I think it's going to be an amazing fight of the year type shit. Calvin Kattar, TKO. That's my pick.
I think that's a fair pick.
Lock it in.
I think that's a fair pick. Yeah, no, he has never been knocked out. He's lost 4 decisions and he got submitted once. The last time he got submitted, I was in high school, so it's been a while.
And his resume is stout.
Yeah, that is a heavy duty resume for a very tough man. Not a lot else you can say about that one.
You know who I'd love to see him fight? Now that I think of it, this is just kind of bullshit. It doesn't pertain to what, the rest of the card, but it'd be a sick matchup for Calvin Kattar.
Tell me.
Do you have any ideas? You're not going to guess? Make it fun.
I have no guess right now. So tell me.
Brian Ortega.
T-City?
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. And I mean, if you want to test Kattar's grappling ability or his defensive grappling, you'll get that chance with T-City.
I think that'd be a fun fight.
And that's another tough dude, right? I mean, T-City is just another insanely tough human being.
That's our book. Kattar wins this. Book that. Korean zombie Josh Emmett.
Oh, that's another one that's just fun.
Yeah.
Korean zombie Josh Emmett. That's that one. That smells like dinner's on. And I'm hungry. Ooh, you're talking about a couple there that I would fucking tune in for. T-City is our legal department's pick for hottest UFC fighter.
I can see that.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for me to disagree with that.
Handsome guy. He can pull off the long hair. Not a lot of guys can, just a all around good looking dude. Speaking of dudes who are really not that good looking, but we love to watch fight, Cowboy Cerrone versus Joe Lauzon. Yeah, I have mixed feelings on this one just because it got canceled last time.
Yeah.
And it fucked me in DraftKings. DraftKings needs to sort that shit out. But yeah, man, this could be another bittersweet one. I feel like we're gonna have like similar to like the JJ vibes that we had last week. So it could be like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like we're set up for maybe failure here. I don't know.
Well, look, I mean that's
I'm starting to lean.
I really hate to hear you say that. Number one. Number two, fans of the podcast, longtime fans of the podcast will remember last time this fight was scheduled before it had to be called off. I did a very heartfelt ode to the Cowboy, Donald Cerrone, who I had the opportunity to meet once. I'm not going to do it again for 2 reasons. Number one, if you really want to hear it, go back and listen. And number two, Cowboy has said win or lose, he's not done. He wants to get to 50 fights in the UFC. He is at 48 right now. And And I'm hard pressed to believe that he's not going to do it. I'm hard pressed to believe that Dana White would not make that a reality for him. And it seems like, I don't know if you saw earlier, it seems like Cowboy sort of knows where he's at now. He has said for his last 2 fights, he said, give me some salty veterans who I can go in there with and put on a good fight. He said these young guys are just too tough. So it sounds like Cowboy knows he's winding down his career. The UFC knows it. So if he wants to get to 50, I think he will. So I will save my next heartfelt ode to the Cowboy for when number 50 comes up, which knowing Cowboy could be in 2 weeks. So
You got a favorite in this one?
I think it's Donald Cerrone. I think he's the favorite. He was the favorite last time they were stacked up to fight each other. So I can't imagine that's changed.
Yeah, no, he's the favorite, minus 160. I think he's the rightful favorite. We covered it last time, like you said. I was on Cerrone then. I'm still on him here. I'm a little bit more nervous though, just because he pulled out of the last one. I saw the weigh-ins and he looks old. He has looked old though. This isn't like new.
He does look old.
But the one thing that I will say is he matches up pretty well against Joe Lazone.
He does.
Like I don't see he's the better grappler. He's the better striker. He might have the better chin.
He did at one point.
He still might, which is crazy. I don't know. He's definitely the rightful favorite here. It's just one of the positions where I don't want to bet Donald Cerrone and then after the fight be like, Jesus Christ. Like
right.
Donald Cerrone looked so fucking old. I saw that from a mile away. Like, what the hell am I doing? Look a little bit closer into the weigh-ins, listen to how he sounds in the interviews, like, gain some fucking awareness of kind of where he's at mentally. But from a skill set standpoint and an odds standpoint, I'm team Cerrone here.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's a fair assessment. I don't think either of them are looking to go in there and grapple. I don't think Joe Lazone or Cowboy Cerrone have any interest in a grappling match. I think they're going to go in there and they're going to throw that leather around. And obviously that has been Cowboy's bread and butter for most of his career, with the exception of a few really well done and surprising submissions. He's a stand and bang kind of guy. That's just what he does. Yeah. We got action after that though. We got Big Mouth Kevin Holland taking on the Dirty Bird Timmy Means. That's a fun one.
And then here we go again. This is another fight where you're talking two guys who are two of my favorite guys to watch at welterweight. Kevin Holland's must-see TV.
Always.
He talks the entire time he's in the cage. Tim Means is going to be a willing dance partner as well. He's going to be somebody who will talk back. Super fun fight. Super fun fight. You see Kevin Holland weighed in with his chains on this morning.
That's just a baller move. I love that.
He made weight wearing his chains.
I love that energy. That's energy I tune in for.
So that was a fucking, pretty solid flex. Who do you think favorite is in this one? Who do you like in this one as well? You have a pick?
So we got Timmy Means, 32-12-1, Kevin Holland, 22-7. I think Kevin Holland is the favorite.
Yep. You were right.
The question is, do I like him?
Mm-hmm. Pretty wide favorite.
Is he really?
Minus 315.
Wow, that is a wide favorite.
Tim Means 2.5 to 1 odds. That makes me think.
I mean, Tim Means is a tough dude. He's on a 3-fight win streak, including a decision over Platinum Mike Perry, who is not, I don't think, on the level of Kevin Holland, but is somebody who we've spoken about on this podcast having an iron chin and an iron will to match. Kevin Holland, when he loses some tough decisions. And here's Timmy Means, the Dirty Bird, his last 3 fights, he's won via decision over Nicholas Dalby, Mike Perry, and Laureano Strapoli. Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm kind of leaning towards Tim Means here, and I don't like to say it, but I'm kind of feeling it.
Yeah, I honestly kind of have the same conviction. I honestly kind of do like Tim Means here. If you were to say who do you think's going to win the fight straight up, I'd probably say Kevin Holland. But when you say minus 315,
Yeah,
I don't like that number at all.
no.
I could see Tim Means squeak out 2 rounds. It'll be interesting. Kevin Holland can look like a world beater, or Kevin Holland can look like, an absolute, outside the top 10 type of guy.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting one. That's one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, that is an interesting one.
Dirty Bird could get some action. He could entertain some play.
And the Dirty Birds losses, I mean, there are a few that raise eyebrows, but
the Nico Price one was a tough, because he like literally knocked Nico Price out, and then Nico Price does what Nico Price does, and then like
Walking Dead at him.
Walking Dead, like flail knocks him out, and then he like fractures his ankle and derails Tim Means' career for like 12 months. But
fucking Nico Price. Only Floridians.
Tim Means, man. Guy's good.
He's a tough dude.
Guy's good.
He's lost to Alex the Fake Cowboy Oliveira via submission. He lost to Dan Rodriguez via submission. I mean, he went the distance and lost a split decision to Bilal Muhammad, and then a decision to Sergio Moraes.
And he won that fight too. The Sergio Moraes fight.
Yeah, I would agree.
Dana White gave him his fight money, and it was like one of the worst decisions of all time. That was in Brazil.
Yeah, it was that. Say less. It was in Brazil.
But nonetheless, Tim Means has got some good wins under his belt. He's a veteran. He's a guy who comes in every single time to fight. But so is Kevin Holland. Dude, this card's a low-key banger.
It's a low-key banger. I mean, even the fight right after it, Joaquin Buckley versus Albert Duraev. Fire, right? And Joaquin Buckley knows what he's up against.
You picking this fight? Who you like?
I think Duraev should be the favorite. I don't know if he is, but I think he should be.
Yeah, I agree.
Is he?
He is the favorite. Yeah, -1. I believe minus 190. I'm not a Buckley guy. Joaquin Buckley got a lot of fame. If you don't know who Joaquin Buckley is, he had the spinning heel kick. That was like one of the nastiest knockouts in UFC history. He knocked out Imka Kasangwe. Nasty. One of the nastiest knockouts you've ever seen. But besides that, I haven't really seen anything from him that I'm overly impressed with. He got knocked out by Kevin Holland.
Yes.
Buckley. Albert Duraev is a Tuesday Night Contender Series guy, right?
Russian wrestler.
Yeah, beast type guy. I don't think Buckley's that good. And just because I don't think Buckley's that good, I'm going to go with Duraev here.
I'm going to go with Duraev as well. I will say that in a pre-fight interview, Joaquin Buckley seems like he knows what Duraev's going to do. And so he seems like he may have a game plan to at least try to combat it. The question is your game plan going to be good enough to combat it? I don't think so, but I think Joaquin Buckley can make it at least a fun round or two watching, so I think it's an interesting fight to watch. But no, I think Duraev is rightfully the favorite here.
Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, we could analyze, I think, every fight on this card. But I'd like to, if acceptable, I'd like to jump down to Court McGee versus Jeremiah Wells.
Well, guess what?
Tell me about it.
We started a new tradition, didn't we?
We did.
Where we have a pick.
We did.
That would happen to be.
Go on.
My pick of the card.
Now, Michael Corleone told us in Godfather 2, don't ever go against the family. And I hope you're not going to here.
Okay. So
let me hear it. Let me hear the pick.
We'll see if I can weather the storm and not go 0 for 2. We're going to start it off with the pick of the card for me. I'm going with the underdog in this bout. Who do you think the underdog is?
I think the underdog is probably Jeremiah Wells.
You would be correct. I'm going with the Philly, Team Philly.
That's what I like to hear.
Jeremiah Wells over Court McGee. I think Court McGee is a respectable guy, savvy veteran. And that's it. A respectable, savvy veteran. I think Jeremiah Wells can get the job done here. I like him in a 3-round fight against Court McGee. Simple as that. And he's the underdog.
He is the underdog.
Sign me up. Dog money all day.
Yeah, I mean, Jeremiah Wells, 10-2. He's coming out of Daniel Gracie's camp, otherwise known as Renzo Gracie Philly. He's a tough guy, and he's a tough guy who can beat you anywhere. He can submit you. He can knock you out. He can take a tough decision. His only 2 losses of his career were both decisions, neither of which was in the UFC. And Court McGee has gone toe-to-toe with the Daniel Gracie camp before. Fought Sean Brady back in 2019 and lost a decision. So
good fight, though.
Good fight. Definitely a good fight, but if you look at Court McGee's record, those losses are starting to add up for him.
Yeah, he has a loss to Diego Lima,
Sean Strickland, Ben Saunders.
Ben Saunders one was a while ago, but that's still not. It's a fucking terrible look. It's a fucking horrible. It's a horrible guy to have a loss to on your record.
Yeah, it was 5 years ago, but that was in the midst of a 2-fight skid, and then 2 years later, in 2019, he goes on a 3-fight skid.
He has some quality wins. He had a little resurgency. I don't know though. I like Jeremiah Wells as a dog here.
Yeah, I like where your head's at. I think that putting aside my hometown loyalty, I think it's a logical way to look at the bet.
We're going with a strong camp. We're going with a guy who Mike said that Jeremiah Wells was a guy to watch out for. He was literally
absolutely did.
He was a guy that he, mentioned quickly, kind of right off the bat. And I've heard that amongst a lot of people, not just Mike. But you're going to give me dog money. And I think Court McGee's older. Court McGee's on his way out. This is like a passing of the guard type thing. Jeremiah Wells all day. Let's go play it.
Yeah. I like that. I like where your head is at. Well, jumping down the card a little bit, we got one of my guys, one of my all-time favorites. Don't ask me why, because the reason is really dumb. But Eddie Wineland stepping in against Cody Stamann. Do you want me to pick a favorite?
I guess.
I have to imagine that we still live on Earth and that Cody Stamann is the favorite here.
You would definitely be correct. Yes.
Yeah, Eddie's 24-15, and as much as I like Eddie, he's just never been able to put it together. Look, he's a tough dude. 24 wins, 15 by knockout. He's a tough dude. You're not going to question his heart, but and he's on a 2-fight skid here. I don't know how much there is to say other than I like Eddie Wineland. The reason I like him was that he used to come out with this really, really sick handlebar mustache. And I'm a man who respects a mustache. I was actually debating with myself earlier today. Could I do it? Like, do I have the bravery? Yeah. Do I have the strength of convictions to do a mustache?
Without a doubt, do it.
Listen.
I've never been more certain about anything. Do it.
Now, I wonder about your reasoning behind that. Now, do you think that I could pull off the stash, or are you just morbidly curious to see if I could pull off the stash?
I'm just fairly certain that you just come off as a stash guy to me.
That's not an unfair characteristic. Whether or not it's meant in a complimentary sense, I don't know. Only you know, but it's not unfair either way. I was talking to on a work trip. I bumped into somebody from Texas. I was relaying to them that I had always considered myself a Texan at heart. And she said, "Oh, if you're a Texan at heart, you're more Austin than Dallas." And I looked at her and I said, "I know what you mean by that, whether or not you mean it as a compliment."
I could be wrong here now. Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm getting a vibe that you're like slightly offended by this.
I'm not. I'm not. And I'll tell you why I'm not, John. It's because our friendship goes back a couple of years now. And I know that your heart is always good. I know that you got a heart of gold in there. So I'm not offended. But the implication of telling me that I'm a mustache guy, I don't know if it's inherently positive. But that's okay. I'm going to take it. You might get a picture from me tonight or tomorrow with a mustache. You might do that.
I mean, I hope that that's the straw that broke the camel's back. And that's it.
You.
That I said that you need to do that.
I want you to know legal has already filed suit against you personally for that.
We'll take into consideration. We'll look it over. I think it's just do it. Go for it 100%. I'm all in.
I'm convinced.
But
it's stash time.
But on the other hand, I wouldn't bet Eddie Wineland.
No.
Cody Stamen's the biggest favorite on the card, -600. He's kind of on a rough patch himself. He's a string of losses that he's had together. Decent opponents. Eddie Wineland is not really a decent opponent. This should be his last fight in the UFC, unless there was a falling out and they need an extra in Peaky Blinders. Eddie Wineland's probably good. What are we doing here? This is to get Cody Stamen back on track. Let's call the spade a spade. Zach's a mustache guy. Let's call a spade a spade. Let's not play games here at the 10-8 round podcast. Cody Stamen maybe gets his first finish in the UFC. I could see it. I like it. -600 Cody Stamen.
Yeah.
Give me it, dude. Eddie Wineland, come on.
If Eddie's listening at home, and I suspect he might be, Eddie, I hope you don't take it the wrong way. I hope you don't think that John speaks for both of us. I maintain my position as a Wineland fan. Yeah, but I can't.
Podcast support.
I can't disagree with your assessment as much as I want to. I can't. On anything that you've said in the last 5 minutes, I can't disagree with any of it.
Let's go.
I don't know if that makes me feel good or not, but before we dive too deep into it, there's another Philly guy on this card. The curtain jerker of the evening, Kyle Dawkins, is taking on Roman Dolidze. What is it?
Roman Dolidze.
I was close. Roman, can you tell me his nickname?
Oh, it's like some soldier, right? Or something like that?
No, it's the Caucasian.
The Caucasian?
Roman the Caucasian Dolidze.
I honestly, this is the first time I've been hearing this.
And
I thought it was something more badass.
Yeah, no, it's not. And
the line on this fight surprised me. I am once again going to say that I don't imagine the Philadelphian is the favorite here. Big favorite.
Really?
-280. Vegas is giving respect to my boy Kyle Dawkins.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Going into it, I thought it would be more of like a pick'em fight. And I was leaning, and I would be like, okay, I'm leaning Dawkins. Like, I love Dawkins at even money. At this big of a favorite, I don't know if I feel the same way. I think he's the better fighter, more complete game. I think Dolidze is going to have spots early, but Dawkins is the better grappler. I think Dawkins wins the fight ultimately, but I don't know if I can get behind that line.
It's a hell of a line to get behind. Wow, I did not see that coming. My capacity for surprise.
Yeah, that's a wide line.
Well, I mean, as a Philadelphian, I love it. As a fight fan, I guess we'll see what happens. I guess we will see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, either way, anything else on this card you want to talk about? I know Phil Hawes is stepping in there.
That's one guy. We'll shout out little Phil Hawes, Darren Wynn.
Yeah.
That's a fun fight.
That's another Cracker Jack.
That's just a fun fight. Phil Hawes is an exciting guy. Darren Wynn fights he's like basically a small Daniel Cormier, similar fighting style, just not as good as a wrestler. I like Phil Hawes, but other than that, not too much. But this is a banger card, guys. This is a banger card. It's not a pay-per-view. It's free. Tune in if you want to see some good fights, if you're just chilling on your Saturday night.
So I know I haven't done it yet, and it seems like I probably could have gotten away with it, but I'm a man of honor and integrity, so I'll circle back to it. I know I have to do my pick of the night.
I'm curious.
It's a straight up pick. It's Tim Means over Kevin Holland.
Wow.
Yeah. I feel pretty strongly about it.
Wow.
Yeah, I do. I feel strong, and I don't like that because I am a big Kevin Holland fan.
We're talking a +2 fit. We're talking, pretty big dog status here. So,
yeah, I feel pretty strongly about that one. So, we'll see. Listen, fortune favors the bold, right? We don't do the porch bets. You want porch bets, you can go to John's other podcast that he listens to and shouts out on Twitter. We don't do them here. We don't do them here. We do big dog bets only. You want to sit on the porch with the pups? John Share will tell you who to go follow on Twitter.
Holy shit.
Bow. Let's get to news and notes from the MMA world, because I got a little bit of an evening ahead of me, John Boy. Let me tell you, there's a new Sandler movie on Netflix. You're just a sports guy overall, so I want to know, have you watched Hustle yet?
I have not watched Hustle yet.
I'm hearing it's good.
It's June, July, so it's very it's peak new movie season right now.
It is. So
I've been, a chunk of my time right now in the entertainment world has been going to the movie theater. Saw Jurassic World the other night.
I saw look like IT Girl took you out on a little date.
It was decent. It was good. I had low expectations and I was pleasantly surprised.
I don't know that I've really gotten hyped for a Jurassic Park movie coming out since like 97 when Jurassic Park 2 came out.
This one pays homage to the first one.
Fair enough.
So, in that respect, it's good. It's the end of the Jurassic era. It was good. It was good. It was solid. I saw Lightyear this morning.
Any good?
Wasn't a fan.
All right. Any reason?
I had high expectations.
Yeah, that's fair. That
should be the 10-8 round pod, going with really low expectations.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Right? Yeah. Always come to us with low expectations.
Just shoot for absolute floor.
I think the Gin Blossoms said it best in their 90s hit, Hey Jealousy. If you don't expect too much from me, you might not be let down. That's how I feel.
Wow.
How I feel about that. But I say all that to say, when we wrap up here, I got a little bit of Hustle queued up on the Netflix. That's Adam Sandler's new movie, which takes place here in filthy Philadelphia. I've heard if nothing else, it is a true love story to Philadelphia. A big portion of it filmed in a neighborhood known as Manayunk. Manayunk is one neighborhood above us here. So to celebrate, legal department and I are going to kick off the shoes, pop open a little beverage, and we got a little Pizza John.
Whoa,
Pizza John. That is a hot spot out of Manayunk. It is a new pizza place here in Philly. For anybody who's not a Philadelphian listening to this podcast, a John, Jawn, is a person, place, or thing. It is a noun. It is Philadelphia slang. And if you don't know, you better find me, John F. Kennedy, on the socials, and I'll tell you about it. But Pizza John, it's good.
Pizza John. So this is a pizza place, right? I am interpreting this correctly.
Yes, this is a pizza shop in Manayunk, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Now, what do you guys? What are the toppings on this said pizza?
Here's the thing: the two places I've lived the longest in my life are New York and Philadelphia. Yeah. I think
both legal has to say as well.
You don't want to know what legal does to pizza, and there might be children listening, so I'm not going to tell you what legal does to pizza because I think it's a fucking war crime. Here's the thing: the more creative you get with your pizza and your toppings, the more you can go fuck yourself, and that's how I feel.
Jesus Christ, Zach.
For me, when I order, it's cheese and it's pepperoni. If I'm having a bad day or if I got a weird palate, maybe it's buffalo chicken. Maybe.
What about like Supreme?
Look,
Onions, peppers, salt, like the fucking works.
I'll give a nod to Supreme. That's okay. But if you put pineapple on your pizza, just know you're not welcome in my fucking home.
That's fair. 100%.
That's the way it is.
I agree with that.
That's just the way it is.
I have the same sentiment.
You know, if you put a salad on top of your pizza, get the fuck out. Get out.
Yeah.
I don't need it. I'm not interested.
Those people shouldn't be able to operate vehicles now.
They shouldn't be able to get a driver's license. I'm not sure if I want them in the economy working. I know we're about to hit a real bad economic downturn. Maybe we start weeding out some of these fucking idiots who don't know how to eat pizza, up our numbers a little bit, because this ain't it. This ain't it. I'm digressing, John Boy. There's a little bit of news going on here. You see Corey Sandhagen is going to fight Yadong Song Yadong.
That's a banger. That's a 5-rounder too. They got announced for a main event, which makes that fight just.
That's a cracker jack. That's a fun one.
Such a good fight.
That's a fun one.
I got Sandhagen early. I'm really love to see what the line's going to be. I know Sandhagen's going to be a slight favorite.
Well, we got, I think, exactly 3 months to really marinate on this one. It looks like that's going to go down on September 17th, but that's going to be a fun one.
And other news in that exact same division, but for gold, they have announced.
Go on.
Aljamain Sterling versus TJ Dillashaw for the 135-pound belt.
Now, did you see shortly after they announced it, Aljo said, no, I'm not agreeing to it yet?
I didn't see that.
Apparently, there's a little bit of question about whether or not he has secured the bag.
Interesting.
Whether or not UFC's getting his paper right.
Oh, okay. I did see something where he did talk about money. I didn't see anything about,
So I don't know if Aljo has the ability to say that. I don't know what the deal is there yet. I mean, it never goes well for anybody who tries to hold out on the UFC. The UFC is the quarterback on prom night. He ain't taking no for an answer. And I'm sure that if Aljo tries to hold out, I don't know. There might suddenly be an interim title fight in our future, but at least as of right now, from what I hear, is Aljo said the UFC's got to get that paper right.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's a good fight though. How you feel about it? Too early to tell prediction. How do you feel?
Something's telling me Dillashaw.
Same. Exact same feeling.
That's like the one fight that I think Dillashaw, because I think Jan absolutely eviscerates Dillashaw. Pewter, I think he eviscerates him. I think Sandhagen beat him.
Yeah.
And I think Jan eviscerates him. I think the only winnable stylistic matchup is Sterling for Dillashaw. So this might be his only opportunity to get the belt back, which is a legit thing. It's a real thing. Oh, wait a minute. I knew I had other news. Another fight.
Go on.
Booked in that same division. Merab Dvalishvili, Jose Aldo.
Ooh.
That's a sick fight.
Yeah, that is a sick fight. That is a sick fight. And I think my gut says Merab, but my heart says Jose. And I don't know that my heart's wrong on this one. I mean, Jose is really showing that he's having a real resurgence. He's having a real sort of renaissance period for himself. He's looked like a man possessed lately. Obviously, going back to the WEC days, this man is a Hall of Famer first ballot without question. That's going to be just a good fight, though.
It's going to come down to the wrestling defense with Jose Aldo, which in the past he has shown. So this could be a problem for Merab. It could be.
Other news: Zabit Magomedsharipova.
Zabit Magomedsharipov.
Nailed it. Crushed it. Retired. Now a little bit of 10-8 history here. And I don't know who but us, IT girl, our legal department, and Mike from the Bronx would know this fact, but it was a Zabit fight where this friendship formed.
It's true.
Brooklyn, 2018. Zabit stepped in against Kyle
Okniak.
Yeah, Boshniak, and put on a crackerjack, a fight that had the crowd sort of on its feet talking about it. And that was sort of what spawned a conversation, which brings you to the 10-8 round podcast. That's how we got here. That's where our roots are. And you can't forget your roots.
Yeah, no, it's coming full circle right now. Zabit is retiring from the UFC and he will become a doctor. I don't know if we're going to get into the profession. Did we end up finding anything out about his?
We didn't. I don't know what kind of doctor he is leaving mixed martial arts to become. Okay. So I don't want you to think about it. I just want you to tell me what kind of doctor.
I said neurosurgeon. I still stand by that.
You're standing by neurosurgeon.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now, I think you're wrong. No, I'll tell you with a certainty in my heart, Zabit is going to become a plastic surgeon, and his specialty is going to be cauliflower ear.
That was hilarious.
You seem moved.
That was hilarious. I mean,
that's what I think. That's what I think he's going to do. Who's his first patient? He's a plastic surgeon. He's fixing cauliflower ear. Who's his first patient? Tell me.
Harriet Tubman.
Harriet Tubman. Noted for her cauliflower ear. I mean, that was a tough woman. She was, she was taking shots left and right. Did you see? I learned an interesting piece of history through one of those history meme pages this week. I don't know if you saw this. Harriet Tubman used to knock out infants so that they would not make noise on the Underground Railroad.
I can't imagine that is good for brain development, but it's possible.
Listen, when the chips are down and you got to do it, I guess you got to do it.
Taking CTE to the next fucking level, huh?
Listen, like a true hero, Harriet Tubman stepped up and did what had to be, what I imagine just had to be wildly difficult to do.
Now the real question, how is she knocking these babies out?
I don't know.
Are we throwing knees?
Maybe just a rear naked?
Oh, you think they're subbing the babies?
I don't know, John Boy. I'm going to tell you right now. I have no idea.
When you said knocked out, I pictured like unconscious.
Like you're picturing a cross too.
Like a spinning elbow.
Okay. Maybe something over the top.
Mm-hmm. A knee, perhaps.
A knee, maybe. I don't know. I shudder to think at what you would have had to have done. What would bring you to that point, and then to make that decision, I need to knock out a baby. How do I do it? I am sure that it was probably in the most humane way that you could possibly knock out a baby.
Like a big slap.
Sure.
Like a big soft slap.
Before our podcast gets just canceled, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a little more research into finding out how. Because I feel like if we keep guessing, YouTube is going to ban us from their platform.
Probably not a good call, but
yeah. But look, it's a fair question. You learn a piece of history like that, I think you'd have to want to know the answer.
It might come in handy.
Might come in handy.
You never know when you're going to have to.
I'm going to take that burden upon myself to look that up. We have anything else for this week, John Boy?
If we did, we should cancel it because we should definitely end on that.
Yeah, end on that. As always, folks, call your mother. Tell you love her. We're out of here.
Peace.